What's up, Columbus? Columbus, Ohio! We're the Dirty Nil from Dundas, Ontario, Canada. And it's great to be back. This one's for you. CD 92.9. Thank you very much.
Hey friends, and welcome to another CD 92.9 virtual big room. We're joined today by the Dirty Nil. This is just a quick disclaimer that if you're watching this with children around, we'll be dropping a lot of F-bombs as we talk about their new record, Art. And we're underway again in the virtual big room here in Columbus, joining us by way of Canada. Thank you so much, Luke, for coming in from the Dirty Nil. So happy to have you.
Absolutely my pleasure. There's no place I'd rather be.
Love to hear it. All right. Well, the new record is out everywhere now, Fuck Art, and we will hear a couple of tracks off of it here in this performance that you filmed before this. What can you tell us about this first song that we'll go into?
Well, I can tell you definitively that it is a song off our new album, Fuck Art, which is an album of wall-to-wall bangers that we made all for the children. It's all for the children of the world, and yeah, we have a great amount of pride in our record. We worked very hard on the music for it. Whatever it is, I promise you, it's a slice of pure, unadulterated rock and roll broadcast from a shed to you. So we hope you appreciate it.
Let's do it, boys.
Hamilton, Ontario. Is that where we're at right now?
That is correct. Yes, Hamilton, Ontario, just southwest of Toronto. We're kind of like the Pittsburgh or the Buffalo of Canada, I would say.
That's a good way to put it. I think I've driven through on my way up to Toronto at one point.
Yeah.
And, yeah, would love to visit it someday. And we hope to get you back down in Columbus on another day when it's right to do so. But until then, thank you so much for providing this music to us in such an exciting way here in the virtual Big Room today. A cut off of the new album, Fuck Art, which is out everywhere now, and I'm going to have to be careful with what I air on the radio, of course, lest I run afoul of the FCC. But we can't avoid the title of your art itself, and this new record out now, 11 tracks, released in January. But before we chop up the music side of things, can you explain the title? It demands a certain amount of attention. What led to calling it Fuck Art?
Well, it was a little bit. I started taking painting lessons at the very beginning of 2020 with my mom, who basically got it. We were going to do it as a kind of Christmas present to each other and something to do, you know. Mm-hmm. And I actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I had a really good teacher. We were in a kind of community arts or community college class, whatever you want to call it. It was mostly senior citizens. Mm-hmm. And I discovered that I really liked doing it. I was having fun doing it. And there was an older gentleman at the back of the class who had all the expensive gear. He had, you know, gone out and made sure he was well equipped, but he had a really hard time actually painting. And it, you know, no stakes. We're all just here to have fun and, you know, take our brains off something else and just, you know, learn a new skill. And this guy was taking it really, really seriously. He was having a hard time. The instructor was doing a very good job and patient job of trying to, you know, coach this guy through his little painting of a universe or whatever we were working on that night. And at one point, he, in a fit of exasperation, he threw down his brush and said, "Fuck art." And it absolutely broke my brain. And I just couldn't stop laughing. And then I brought that to the group. And became our rally cry. And basically, I mean, to me, the title it sounds, you know, very nihilistic upon first glance. But to me, there could be the reason why we chose it is because when we were first discussing it, the amount of joy and that it was sparking, as I guess is the modern term, was something that we wanted to give to the world. That idea of just trying to make people smile, make people laugh. So that was a big part of it. Also, we worship bands like The Replacements and bands that like to troll a bit. So it was a fun way of kind of exercising that aspect of our minds. And yeah, it just seemed like a really funny, a really humorous and great thing to do. I mean, when I presented it to the German fella that did our album artwork, he was madly in love with it and had, you know, great ideas and, you know, came up with the dog album cover, which I'm still very much so in love with. It was something that really just united everybody. And as I said, made everybody feel really happy, despite its kind of, you know, I guess you could say surface negativity. To me, it's but behind that surface nihilism is just is an ocean of happiness and celebration and to just enjoy your life. And you know, part of it's also a reaction against the fact that I think a lot of rock and roll music, especially today's current age, takes itself way too seriously. And we're not about that. I mean, we take our jobs very seriously. We work really hard on our music and all that stuff, but we are here to entertain people and to bring joy to people. And that's, I think our album title is a crystallized definition of that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely made us smile when we saw it for the first time. There's some optimism in the pessimism, which is sort of strange. You mentioned the German fella that did the album art and the dog on the cover. Can I ask, do you know whose dog that is?
Well, I should first of all plug Mr. Max Loeffler. He's a fantastic artist, and if you like our album cover, I highly recommend you checking out his Instagram. It's Hacks Loeffler. He does work for the New York Times and The Economist, as well as, death metal bands. He kind of covers it all. He's got a very unique style, or he's got a unique style that lends itself well to many different areas. But I don't think that is anybody's dog. He sent me initially a mock, like we were originally, when we were kind of courting each other and discussing maybe doing this album cover together, he sent over a number of kind of darker designs that were all very kind of menacing looking. And we were both kind of like, yeah, this is kind of cool. This is all right. And then one night he sent, in the middle of the night, he sent over this picture of a golden retriever, an actual picture of a golden retriever smiling against a blue sky. And he said, this is what fuck art means. And I was like, yes, 100%, that's the direction. And when he flipped that switch of going from the darkness to this beautiful, like there's nothing more optimistic in the world than a golden retriever puppy against a blue sky. And it really just kind of put the title and the music and everything into a new beautiful context and filled me with excitement, filled the band with excitement. And his actual cover, though, was, I think, a digital painting that he made himself. He's an extremely talented artist I just feel very fortunate that we've gotten to work together, and I hope we get to work together soon again.
Yeah, wow. I did not think for a second that it wasn't a real dog on the cover, and I'll have to take a bit of a closer look again at the record Fuck Art, out everywhere now. Now, when you're putting the album artwork and the title of it and everything together, at that stage, were the songs already written and recorded and everything, or was this a process that happened somewhere in the middle?
This was, basically, we recorded the album in March of 2020, which was, as we all know, a pretty interesting month, not only in that year, but in the history of mankind, or humankind, I should say. But Max and I started actually talking originally the previous fall, and it took a long time to really kind of circle back and discuss ideas. But when he had finally delivered the artwork to us, all of the music was done and recorded, and we had the final mixes, and I gave them to him. And then that's when we really started discussing things. But, when it comes to putting a visual element on the music that you've worked really hard with, to me, it's always been a really interesting and bit of a nail biter process, because you've worked so hard on this music and you want to have something that excites you equally as a visual representation for it. And I can just, when it comes together, it does take quite a bit of work of back and forth and discussing things, or has for us in the past. But when it does come together, it's a feeling of not only just like sheer joy, but relief, that you find that you have it, that it's in the bag and you feel confident. It's a really, really, it instantly when you see it. That will always be a very distinctly fun memory of mine, of when he sent over the cover and we saw it and we were like, oh my God, yes. And the other thing too is him coming up with a logo for us, which was awesome. It's something that we've been a band for 15 years now, and we've struggled to have a kind of logo. We've worked with many different artists, and they've all tried to make us logos, and all of them are and it's not their fault. It's just the Dirty Nil is hard to make a good looking logo for. And so Max and I were discussing it, and I sent him a picture of my guitar case, and my guitar case, which, for traveling purposes, has just NIL written in duct tape on it, so we could easily identify it. And I sent that to him, and he sent back the logo. And I was instantly like, boom, there's our logo forever. Finally, we can end that as well. So it was a very great day when he sent back the album cover and the logo. And you just, as speaking as, the guy that, goes crazy working on all the music, when somebody's able to meet your level of passion and provide you with something that excites you as much as, the idea of making music, as I said, that when they give you that visual element, it's just an amazing, amazing feeling. And I still am super, super happy about it. I mean, I have a giant flag of it downstairs. It doesn't matter what kind of music you listen to. That's a great album cover. I don't care. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Objectively good.
I would say so. As close to objectively awesome as you can kind of get in the world of art.
Of course, yeah. So it's interesting that you mentioned that relief that I imagine you felt at the end as everything kind of came together at once. Because I also have heard that it was kind of a stressful process to get these songs recorded on time, and that you faced a couple of like strict deadlines along the way. Can I ask how that process was for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, starting with the actual music side, I mean, I was pretty tapped out of music, but after we made our last album, Master Volume, I'd kind of got a bunch of riffs together. I'm slow on this stuff, you know. I am a tinkerer. I'm an obsessor. I probably write 10 to 12 songs a year, and then we just work really hard as a band on making them as good as we can, rather than saying, all right, let's write 60 songs and try and whittle them down. Like, we don't have anything to do with that. So the musical side was a little challenging because, as I said, I was pretty tapped, and we were pretty spent from just touring, like just constantly. And as soon as we get home, we'd have 2 weeks to jam together and kind of work on things. And things were slow. It was a slow start, but once we finally hit our stride, it was awesome. When we were going in to record, though, COVID happened. So our producer, John Goodmanson, arrived from Seattle, like on the day things were really, really starting. We did a few days of pre-production with him, and we had already demoed a ton. The songs were tight. We were good to go. We did 2 or 3 days of drums, and then 2 days of bass, and then the borders were closing. So John had to go back to Seattle. And then I was told by the studio, well, you have two options. We can pause this because clearly we're all heading towards a global catastrophe and we're going to have to shut down the studio. Or there's 48 hours before the studio closes and you can see what you can get done in the meantime. So I said, hell yeah. We locked the door, and me and just the engineer did all the guitars. There was no producer or anything. I just did them. But John was really cool. John was very encouraging. He's like, Luke, you know what you want. You know, the songs are together. You've already done the work. Just have fun, do the guitars. And so we did that. That was really, really, I would say that was both the most fun and stressful musical experience I've ever had. It was just 2 16-hour days with basically no breaks of just recording for 12 songs. And when we were done, we got done right before midnight, when the legal limit, everybody had to get out of any commercial space. I remember driving home by myself, just delusional, or just deliriously happy that we had gotten it done. And my wrist, my fretting wrist was seized for like 3 days just from playing guitar so hard for 2 days. And so we were able to kind of get all that done. And just for reference, I mean, the last album we made, Master Volume, we did the guitars in a week. So doing them in 2 days was pretty intense. Not a lot of time for kind of fruiting around with different ideas. It was just execution. And I think the record reflects that. It's very, it's very lush sounding, I think, but at the same time, the rhythm section sounds way better than we've ever had it, and the guitars are to the point and simple and sound great. And then we had to figure out how to do the vocals. So the band was living together in a house, so we started doing the vocals from home and sending them out to Seattle, which we had never done anything like that before. But it was, I mean, when it comes to recording an album and, doing all the work that we had leading up to that, I would rather finish the thing on a yak back than pause. Momentum is everything. So we just decided to move forward with whatever we had. And as I said, we did the vocals from home. We rented a microphone, or we borrowed a microphone. And I mean, it's easy to forget now, but at that point, it seemed like the world was ending. It was like, it was not clear what the true extent of this whole thing was going to be. So, I mean, doing that album, doing the vocals from our house was the fun part, and like kind of relief from all of this existential dread about what was happening in the world. So I'm really thankful that we got to be really busy during that time. We did the vocals really quickly. We were under a huge deadline because we, basically we're depending on touring revenue, which was no longer there. So we had to get another single to radio. So we had to finish the first song, Done With Drugs, in like a day, and then get it done. And we got it done. And then it's just kind of kind of escaping cutoffs after, just kind of narrowly getting to the next stage. But when it was finally all done and John sent the mixes back, I swear I cried one tear of just sheer joy and happiness that we didn't screw it up and that we crushed it. And I was super happy. And even just thinking back to that now, I'm still filled with the same feeling of happiness. And it was definitely interesting, but it really proved to me how much we could get accomplished under some intense and unique pressure. So long story short, it was a little bit of a touch and go ride, but we put the biscuit in the basket.
Yeah, as they say. My God, that is makes me look at the album in an entirely different light to know that it was pretty much recorded in those 2 days, and that so much went into that. A superhuman feat. Again, the album is Fuck Art from the Dirty Nil. Joining us today in the CD92.9 virtual big room. Why don't we jump into another track that you recorded here for this?
Awesome. Again, I'm not exactly sure which track we're playing, but again, I can guarantee you it's a cut of excellence.
We'll find out. It's the virtual big room at CD92.
Catch a flick, let the meter tick in the parking lot outside of theater number 6, where the woofer doesn't kick like
Ontario by way of Columbus, Ohio. Thank you again so much for being here.
Stoked to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So the new record, Fuck Art, that we've been talking about for a few minutes now, I do like to dive into music videos as well. And you and your band have been pretty apt with the visual entertainment over the course of even just within the last year of doing the Dancing to Thrash virtual tour, which was a lot of fun. I did not expect all the green screen when you came and played at the basement virtually, of course. But this music video that's out now for Elvis 77 is what I want to dive into, because there's some wild stuff in here. These are all Dirty Nil fans in this music video doing some, if you'll allow me to say, some very Canadian stuff. Jumping off of roofs into snow piles, playing pond hockey, ice fishing, and a lot of bales, a lot of extreme sports bales that went into this. Super cool stuff. How did it come about?
Well, I think one of the things that's kept us all sane, at least in our band and our organization, is that we've been able to kind of keep moving forward through this whole thing with whatever means that we had. We at no point have we ever said, okay, well, we'll just take a pause and we'll talk to you guys in a bit. There's been none of that, which I'm really thankful for, because it gives you something to, even if you're in your pajamas, it gives you an excuse to get out of bed in the morning. So the Elvis 77 video idea was just another kind of reflection of our current reality, that we couldn't get together and shoot a video like we usually do. So we just said, what if we just solicit footage from our fans and say, you guys make our music video, we're lazy. So we basically had a call to action, and we kind of gave people some loose parameters or ideas to kind of get started, but we just kind of watched and saw what rolled in. And I was expecting 20 or 30 videos, but we had hundreds and hundreds of submissions, ranging from, people that, clearly don't know how to work a phone and record themselves, to people soliciting extremely X-rated footage that we cannot use, but and everything in between. So again, we just it was one of those things where we just let's see if we can pull another rabbit out of our ass here, and it worked out great. I mean, the footage that people provided was awesome. There were some things that I wanted to include, but it was too extreme. So I mean, there were some serious bails, and I'll leave it at that. There was some intense stuff, but it really was at a time right now where we don't get to go out and play for our fans and get to get to share music with each other and get to share what it's like, what a proper rock and roll show is. Getting to see that outpouring of support and contribution from our fan base was a huge reminder of the fact that, that people like our band, and that's a beautiful thing. And it was extremely motivating to us, at a time where you just kind of seem to be in your own little feedback loop, kind of coming up with ideas and doing stuff and living on this one got a few likes, that's great. That's the only kind of positive feedback. And, people are streaming the album, that's great. We're getting radio play, that's wicked. But the real positive feedback for rock and roll is sharing it together and seeing people sing along, or, show up with their own homemade merch and all that stuff that that I'm still blown away that people love our band that much. It's awesome. But as I said, getting that music video raw footage from all of our fans was the closest that we've come to that during this whole pandemic and isolation. And getting that stuff really, really, I think, was touching for all of us. We were all super pumped to see how much people wanted to be a part of this. So it was, as much as it was an awesome thing to have, a good video to push, it was just a really good shot of enthusiasm, and to see that kind of reaction from the outside was, as I said, it was wonderful.
It turned into 2 minutes and 55 seconds, I believe, that video of just absolute chaos. And you mentioned homemade merch and stuff, but the tattoo, there's somebody tattooing themselves in the video too, which is insane. Have you seen that happen before?
I would say that the fan level of intensity has really ratcheted up since we released Master Volume. We've had really hardcore fans in little pockets all around the world, but since we released Master Volume and Fuck Art, that kind of outrageous commitment to the band has really become more visible and more prominent. And all I can say is that I feel like the luckiest guy in the world. And we love our fans. It's awesome. It's just such a, I mean, we make music for ourselves. We like, it's fun. You know, we at the end of the day, we're making the songs to make ourselves satisfied, but seeing that is reciprocated by the people that are listening to it is a really beautiful thing. And I feel like I feel like our whole band and crew are in the upper 1% of people that get to have a true fulfillment in their vocation rather than doing something that they don't want to do and just to pay the bills. So I mean, that whole thing is really on my mind in terms of how lucky we feel, and it was just seeing all that stuff come back and us just, you know, on our side immediately switching to working on new music because we're not on the road was just very motivating, and kind of we bypassed a traditional kind of dry period that we usually have after an album, where we do an album and then we have to go on the road forever, and then I have to relearn how to write songs, which always is, you know, painful and annoying. And we got to bypass that completely this whole time and just put out an album and then immediately start working on new music even before the album had come out, which is an amazing luxury of time that's been one of the real positives for our band in the whole pandemic. Yeah, as I said, seeing that kind of outpouring of intensity and support and appreciation for our music and our band and everything is, you know, it's a dream come true. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah, and that community that you've built and this fan base, it's all well-earned, no doubt. Again, the new record, Fuck Art, out everywhere now. Fantastic, 35 minutes, just pop it on. If anybody's watching or listening to this and hasn't listened to it yet, just pause this and go listen to it. It's great top to bottom. And you've always been pretty good at connecting with your fans in your fan base, which leads me to my last segment here that I like to run through with most artists whose Twitter accounts are not private. It's called Reviewing Old Tweets, where we go way back on your timeline
wow.
and see what was up.
I love it.
Nothing too crazy here. This first one, I want to test your memory here from 2012 in August. Blank is the greatest TV show. Holy fuck. That's the whole tweet. Do you remember what the TV show was?
Would it have been Breaking Bad around that time?
Exactly correct. One for one, right off the bat. How's that changed since?
Yes. I actually just rewatched Breaking Bad because I hadn't seen it. And, you know, pandemic, you know, there's some positives. We can rewatch the classics. It's great. It holds up, but nothing's as exciting as the first time seeing it. And even just 8 years later, it does seem kind of, you know, TV and movies have changed in a way that you kind of forget about until you see it again. And you're like, yeah, they don't film stuff like that anymore. But I would say my favorite show right now is probably Peaky Blinders, active show. Really like that show.
Yeah, I've been told to get into it. I'll keep it. I'll bump that up on the watch list with your recommendation.
It's very good. Yeah.
Right on. All right, moving up to April 17th, 2013, you ask, who's in for a disgusting food eating competition? And you tag a few of your friends, including Pup, Teenage Kicks, and Grays. But what I want to know is, what's on the menu at a disgusting eating competition?
Well, if I remember correctly, that was around the time that Pup won some sort of like contest called Feed the Beast or something with Taco Bell, where they got like some outrageous amount of money only valid at Taco Bell. And I think that's probably around that time. But I'd say disgusting would be Taco Bell, McDonald's. And I mean, if you really want to hate yourself, like, you know, the lesser, the second tier places like Burger King or you know, Arby's might be down at the bottom, or you know, but there are some lovely, amazing franchises down south that I will probably put as the worst ones. I mean, like, what's that one? You know, Cookout.
Oh, I've never been to Cookout.
Cookout in the south. That place sucks. But like, if you only have $10 and you want to eat a lot of food, yeah, I mean, Cookout's great. There was some news story that, I mean, they have like 50 different types of milkshakes there. They're all like $1. And I think they had to have there was some news story that one or two of the flavors was like causing salmonella or something. So anyway, Cookout, that would be probably towards the bottom of if I was choosing the most disgusting fast food chain, it would probably be Cookout.
Right on. It's just a whole banquet. This interview is sponsored in no part by Cookout.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely keep a lookout. Okay, this is the last old tweet that we'll review from April 13th, 2013, which was a good era on your timeline to pick from. This is the tweet. We made a drink called Here Comes the Sun. Get lit with us. There's 2 ingredients here. And I want to see if you remember how to make a Here Comes the Sun.
Okay. Okay, let me think here. Yeah. Oh, I remember. Okay, is it Orange Crush?
It is Orange Crush.
Yes. And I'm trying to think of the liquor. Is it it's either rum, tequila, or is it whiskey?
It was whiskey.
Yes.
So we've got our Here Comes the Sun, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna pour myself a glass.
I love it.
And have a sip and see just how it tastes. I asked around the office before this, like, oh, how do you think that's gonna taste? And I have no idea. So I've got some local Bua Irish whiskey here. Shouts out.
Well, I can say that drink originated from a show that we played at the local university, which has kind of gone down in infamy for us. We were the opening band, and we were paid quite a bit of money, and they left a lot of alcohol in the backstage. And we were 22 years old, so it was a recipe for disaster.
Of course.
We trucked a bunch of our friends into the backstage room, and we started serving up Here Comes the Suns. And anyways, I believe we're in the volleyball locker room. That's where they put our backstage. And we, maybe not us specifically, but our friends trashed the place. And there was a big fan, like a giant fan, and somebody turned it on high and poured a whole big container of Gatorade powder that they found into the fan, and it coated the room blue. We were banned from forever playing at McMaster after that. But anyways, that was the Here Comes the Sun night. So that sounds about right.
Of course. Well, it's a good story. Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
And yeah, it's pretty damn good.
All right. Yeah.
Right on. Thank you for the recipe. Thank you again, Luke, for joining us from the Dirty Nil. Check out the new record, Fuck Art, and I'll let you have the last word, and then we'll send it off into the last song of the set here.
All right. Well, again, not exactly sure which song we're going to play here, but we shot this whole thing in a shed. It was really cold. But honestly, we love Columbus. We've always come through. We always play at, is it Double Happiness?
Oh, yeah.
That was the best place ever. And I just want to shout out a couple, the band Nuclear Moms from Columbus. Love those guys. And we've had some amazing shows in Columbus. We really, really love playing there. So we can't wait to be back. But in the meantime, here's this next little ditty off of Fuck Art.
Thank you so much, Columbus.
Columbus, it's an honor to be here. Or I wish we were there, but it's an honor to play for you. And we've met a lot of great people in Columbus, and we're gonna play our favorite song that happens to be our next single, Damage Control. And vibe it out, my friends, vibe it out.
If you want to know what's on my mind, I'll tell you anytime. Beware the things you want to feel, 'cause that's only their real. Burn the air, drain the sea, light a shit like that anywhere. So long, where you gonna turn? Another lesson left unlearned. Burn the air, drain the sea, light a fire, looking for me. I'll be gone down a hole faster than you can say. Damage control. If you want to know what's on my mind, I'll tell you anytime. Damage control! Damage control! Damage control! Damage control! Thank you so much, Columbus. Special shout out to CD 92.9. Thank you so much for having us. Much love.